every day to the world and to your heart. Open up your eyes and let your spirit start. Say yes to the dreams you hold inside. Let your soul be your guide.
In today's complex mortgage world, finding the right direction can be challenging. That's where Lighthouse Advisors comes in. With over 25 years of experience, we provide fractional leadership and executive oversight, guiding companies through transitions, growth, and innovation. From IMBs to brokers to credit unions to tech firms, our team of seasoned professionals is here to shine a light on solutions, ensuring your business thrives in every environment. At Lighthouse Advisors, we don't just guide, we empower. Together, let's create a ripple of success across the industry. Email us today at laura@lighthouseadvisors.com.
Thank you for joining us today for another episode of Wednesday Wisdom. Today, we are joined by the incredible Brooke Geftman. She is the Business Development Manager at Shape Software. Brooke, thank you so much for joining us, and we cannot wait to hear all of your insights. Okay, so we like to jump right in with, throughout our lives, we're always getting pieces of advice. It could be something we read. It could be something we've heard. It could be something someone either showed us or shared with us. And, so many times those lessons get applied to the things that we do in our life. And we'd love to hear, Brooke, what is something that was very impactful that you were shared that you now follow in the rest of your life?
Yeah, Laura, thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here with you today. And I think this is a great question. When I was thinking about this, it's interesting. I kept coming back to this, what I'm about to tell you. But then I couldn't quite put my finger on who told it to me. And I live by it every single day.
Wow.
I apologize to whoever it is out there that gave me this advice, but I have to, express my gratitude for it. Someone once told me, hey, Brooke, just so you know, there's never a dead end. Every opportunity that you come to, you can pivot, adapt, restructure, and rebuild. And ever since someone told me that, whether it's my personal life or my business life, I've been able to embody that and take it and teach other people. And I think it's really important in this day and age to understand that anything is possible. You just kind of sometimes have to take a step back and divert. But especially now with everything, that's out there with AI and technology, and you just have to learn how to take a step back and structure it a different way. There's always a way forward. That's something that I hold very closely in my heart and I live by every single day. And it has helped me in several different ways, whether that's, from conception to exit in several companies.
I love that.
One of my favorites.
And there's so many ways to apply that piece of advice. Like you said, right? That is not even just business, right? It's everything. And the joy I get from every guest that comes on and shares is that regardless of what the piece of advice is, as I'm listening to each and every one of all of you and your brilliance, is I'm thinking of how that has applied to my life. And I hope everyone listening to this does that, because even as you're speaking, I'm thinking about just this week, just this week that we're speaking about, I had two people reach out to me that one, she had lost her job in a consolidation, and now she's moving into a new position. And she recently shared with me of she's so excited and she realized that door closing has actually afforded her an even better opportunity, right? So I'm kind of like processing her. And then I'm processing a young gentleman that I was working with at one point that had all these wonderful dreams of moving into these other positions. And something happened at his company an opportunity came up. And although he thought he'd never be able to get through the difficulty that he was experiencing, and now he's past that. That is now in the rearview mirror. And we know, right, Brooke, we know that when we're going through challenge, when we're going through difficulty, whether business or personal, you can't see the next opportunity. You can't see the next thing you're going to learn, or you can't see the next person you're going to meet because you're in the middle of it, right? So what do? Like, Brooke, give us your advice. Like, okay, I understand you look at it of it's not a dead end, but that's tough sometimes when you're in the dark.
Yeah, I mean, possibly. So I'm a very much visionary, forward, like a strategic foresight, visionary thinker. I'm really able to take problems. I'm a problem solver and dissect them. So I always go down to the root, or I always ask the why, I guess you can say. And I guess the best way to explain this to you is to give you some examples of how this has some examples that I've applied this in my life. But for instance, talking about EVs and lithium batteries, right? Now when Teslas came to the market and this whole EV revolution, I guess, started to hit the market, I sat there and scratched my head right from the beginning and was like, there's just not enough lithium on this planet for us to fuel this green initiative, right? So that led me into, exploring various routes or routes or markets where I could potentially help specifically the United States. I kind of knew that we were in a position where we were going to have to start manufacturing here locally. But kind of like, as you said, this opened up a whole new channel of business for me. I actually ended up incorporating a company specific to supply chain management. And I was able to actually help the company that I was currently working with, obviously fix their lithium supply, and import and export, as well as, start doing international business and brokering and joint developments for USG, as well as with some strategic partnerships here in the United States with some corporations to actually help, they call it the critical materials initiative here. But that was one example. I mean, we hit a dead end there where, we just didn't have the products that we needed in order to manufacture. So that actually opened up a whole new opportunity for me, incorporated a couple different companies and then helped other companies actually grow their markets as well. So that's definitely one example. Another example is a company that I was working with in the defense space. When I came on board and started to do the evaluation of the company, I found out that it wasn't as strong as I would have liked as far as the numbers went. And I sat down with the executive team and I was like, we need a plan B. I'm going to explore what those options look like. I was really going for a moonshot here. The plan was to exit in 3 years and it was just acquired. And I knew, having a manufacturing facility that we were doing wholesale and retail here in the United States, that was going to take a lot longer than 3 years. There was no chance with the current trajectory. So I opened up and started looking at the defense space, and someone actually ended up sending me a brochure for F-16 fighter jets. And they were about $35 million per unit. And there was 36 of them. So I turned back around to him and I said, can I actually sell these to, I assume, any other MOD that's non-sanctioned? And they came back around and said yes. So there I went, and I was off to the races, getting everything from DDTC, all the licensing necessary to become government contractors, defense contractors, and actually, took that from fruition all the way to close. When I say close, it was about $218 million in contracts closed for that company, which was a huge success. And actually ended up diverting and starting up a division within that and hiring everyone underneath me in order to, so I guess successfully exit. So
I love that. And for those of you that are like, what words did she just share? You know, like, all right, mortgage people, stay tuned, right? To pay attention to all those things she said. The bottom line of what she said is that anything is possible. That's what
Truth.
she said.
Truth.
Regardless,
It
it
is.
doesn't matter what industry we're speaking about. It doesn't matter, anything is possible. You just have to, number one, you have to start off believing that, because most people are like, I couldn't possibly. What? Well, I wouldn't even dare to ask a question if this is possible for me to sell a $36 million. Like no one would even think of that. But why not? Why
Yeah, why
not?
not?
Why
Why
not
not?
ask the question? The worst thing that they say is, oh, no, that's not okay. All right, no problem. I asked the question. So the biggest thing Brooke just said is don't be afraid to ask the questions, and anything is possible. Okay, so now we want to go into, it's very important to me to always speak about leadership, because I believe, number one, leadership, again, I say this all the time, leadership is not about titles. Leadership is not even about experience or any of that. We all are leaders, right? We're the CEOs of our lives, right? Whoever we are the CEOs of our lives. And it's very important to me that we always give a little lesson about leadership, right? So my question I like to ask is, what do you think one of the most important traits are of a leader?
This has significantly changed for me, I guess in the last 2 to 3 years. But let me just answer it point blank, and that's adaptability right now. Um, the reason being, with AI and everything that's coming to market, you have to be okay with changing and implementing new technologies to optimize your day to day for yourself, your employees, and that really just opens up the opportunity for significant growth. And that's exactly why I found Shape Software, to be honest with you. I think that everyone tried to do some type of start some type of a new business at the beginning of COVID. And
That's
that was me.
true.
That's very true. And to be honest, I was looking at my P&L at the end of the month for one of the startups I was doing, and I was like, how much am I paying for, passes, passes? How many different applications am I using to get out one email marketing campaign or lead generation? And I was looking at it, I was like, this is ridiculous. There's got to be a company out there that consolidates all of this and umbrellas it into one platform, because I'm clicking between tabs. I was just using so much of my time just in the workflow. And actually that's how I found Shape Software.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
I love
I
that
was like,
story. That's great.
and that's so I approached Shape and I was like, this is incredible. I understand that your primary target market is mortgage and insurance. But this is so much more expandable outside of just mortgage and insurance. So can I help you with business development in all directions? And that's how I ended up at Shape. But it's just a fantastic platform. They've done such a great job, and they're continuously updating and improving the platform. Privately owned, and I think the bulk of our employees are software developers that work in a way that I've never seen before. Sometimes within 24 hours for our customers, and it's really incredible, and it's been such an honor working with the entire team. So yeah.
I love that. And again, you got there by asking questions. Once
Yeah.
again, what you just said is you said there's got to be something better. There's got to be something else. I'm going to go and I'm going to explore and do my research. And then I'm going to ask a question and find out more about it, and then possibly become their business development team. So, I mean, again, those asking questions, being curious, right? And many a time people have heard me up on a stage where I have said, do you know the number one skill for success? And you just said it, Brooke. It's
Did I?
adaptability.
Wow.
So that actually comes from Tony Robbins. So Tony
Does
Robbins,
it?
it's actually Tony Robbins that said it, because he said that if you are not continually changing and flowing and moving with whatever cycles are happening or whatever, you've been mentioning AI, but I mean, whatever it is, right?
Mhm.
You're going to become a dinosaur. I don't care what year you're in. I don't care what's happening at that year, whether you were back in 1980 or if you're in 2040. It really makes no difference. You have to be adapting to whatever those changes are happening at that time. And it's really funny. One of my clients today, they have their executive meetings on this day. And I literally brought up that old book, which I don't even know what year it's from, but it's called Who Moved My Cheese? And
Mhm.
that old business book is about how people get all shaken up if something is different, if you ask people to change. It seems so ridiculous, but honestly, that has been happening since the existence of humans, that we
Mhm.
struggle with that change. Now, there's people like you and people like me where we don't like to stand still. We constantly want to change, right? So we're the visionaries. We're the ones that shake it up. And we're kind of like, nah, it's getting a little stale. We'll shake it up and, go do lots of new things. But everyone needs to continually be making those adaptations. So thank you. Listen, we are. Tomorrow when we wake up, we're not the same we were today. Our cells are different. We've changed. I mean,
Mhm.
it's easy to see that in a child. Maybe you're not seeing a day-to-day difference in an adult, but the same thing is happening. We're
Absolutely.
changing every single day. And hopefully for the better, meaning we're learning more and things like that. All right, I
Mhm.
love it. Bingo, you nailed it about the leadership traits. So thank you. Okay. You even mentioned this word where my final question is my most favorite because I do believe that we all have a magic wand and we all have the ability to challenge the status quo and be able to do anything. So, Brooke, I can't wait to hear this because I could just imagine you are someone that is completely on this page, but I want to hear if we took out that magic wand, if you have that moonshot idea or thing that you want to accomplish in your life, if you had no barriers and no limitations, it doesn't have to be business, it could be personal, it could be anything. What would that moonshot be?
You know, um, I believe in supporting visionary founders who are driven to create solutions that are tackling some of the world's most pressing problems. And right now, whether people realize it or not, we're running out of natural resources. We're, the green initiative, I guess you can say. But I think that there's a very specific strategy that's not really being taken into consideration here. And when I say that, if the ocean runs out of oxygen, we do too. So I would say, in short, I would like to implement patents, technologies, or help other visionary founders that are tackling those issues. And when I say those issues, carbon capture, raising temperatures of the oceans, zero energy, hydrogen production. I'm actually actively working on this outside of the mortgage and insurance space. But I'm really looking to leave this planet a better place than I found it or came into it. And that's kind of what I do on my free time. So, my first
Wow.
priority here is to actually restore our natural resources, and then implement regenerative technologies, I guess you can say, that will make our lives here more resilient. When I say our lives here, supply chain really
Yeah.
more resilient and circular. So that's really, I know, my moonshot, as far as implementing that. But yeah,
It's
that's it.
it's sad to say, and this could be a topic that could go on for hours that we're not going to go down. But I mean, I think about it all the time of the generations that, don't exist on this earth yet. The
Mhm.
ones that aren't born and the ones that aren't
Mhm.
even thought about yet. And what you just said of I'd like to leave this planet better than the way I found it when you came into the world,
Mhm.
right? And I think that's something that we all need to be aware of is for
Mhm.
all of our future generations of, our great great grandchildren and beyond,
Mhm.
that it's up to us, and look at the tools we have in terms of how fast
Right.
AI is moving and how many brilliant minds. I mean, it could be done
Mm,
as long as we all make it a priority. And I think that
absolutely.
is a wonderful moonshot that
Thank
certainly
you.
leaves a legacy, shall we say,
Oh,
right?
absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Brooke, this I have to admit, this one was different. You threw out stuff that honestly, like some of it, I was like, all right, I'm trying to keep up with what she's speaking about, but not my
Well,
wheelhouse.
maybe some others will understand out there, but I thought I would keep it interesting today.
You were brilliant, and I
Mm,
appreciate that you shared a unique perspective that we don't get to hear. And that's what is so special about it. And that is
mm,
what's so special about having guests on, because we don't want to hear the same thing we always know. We want
mm,
to hear outside that perspective so that when people listen to this and they hear all of those things that you shared, then they can go and spread that word and they can go look
mm.
those things up and they can
Yeah.
learn more about it. So thank you so much for joining us and for sharing. And Brooke, to wrap us up, how can they learn more about Shape
Yeah, you
software?
can, yeah, absolutely. You can go to setshape.com. And feel free to reach out to me directly on LinkedIn as well. My name is Brooke Geftman. I'm happy to talk to anyone about Shape software or anything else that we discussed today. But yeah, it's www.setshape.com.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Take
Yep.
care.
Thanks.